We recently installed a Xantrex 330 watt max flex solar panel on Paradox. In this video, we'll go through the installation process and then how it's been performing over the last 2 months. When thinking through installing a new Xantrex max flex solar panel, you got to go through a series of steps. Step 1, determine the location that you want to mount the panel, measure it, and figure out which solar panel will maximize the area available. On top of the bimini, we've got approximately an 80-inch by 48-inch area to work with. So the next task was to determine what panel or combination of panels would output the most wattage. Far and away, the most wattage I could find to fit into that area was the Xantrex 330 watt max panel. So what we really liked about the Xantrex panel is it fits the dimensions of our bimini perfect at approximately 72 inches by 41 inches. And one of the features that really drew me to it is that compared to a lot of the other cheaper panels I've seen, it's a lot thicker and more ruggedly built. This panel is nearly 4 millimeters thick, which is just over 1/8 of an inch. It just feels solid, even though it's quite flexible. And it also has a high shade tolerance compared to other panels on the market, which is a significant factor on a sailboat, given all of the standing rigging and the mast that can shade the panel as the sun moves and the boat sways at anchor. Another factor that should ease some of our installation is that it's entirely backed by a 3M double-sided adhesive that makes mounting on either a hard surface like gel coat or presumably like an RV top or even canvas pretty straightforward. Step 2, determine how you're going to affix the solar panel, either by adhering it to your existing canvas or by creating a new canvas panel that can be zipped on and off from your bimini or other canvas mounting location. When we were thinking through how to install this Xantrex panel, we chose not to adhere it directly to the bimini because we wanted to not have to conform directly to the ridge created by this crossbeam. The panel is affixed to the bimini entirely through zippers on the fore and aft edge. So any flexing that's happening with the bimini underneath as the wind blows through, or if we make any changes to the geometry of the crossbars, won't create any issues with the adhesive bond between the solar panel and the canvas mounting panel, because the zippers are doing all the work. Step 3, if you're going to build a removable canvas mount, plan your sewing project ahead by determining your measurements and obtaining all the supplies in advance.
We kept the setup for this project pretty simple. I have 3 yards of sunbrella canvas that roughly matches the canvas on our bimini, 2 72-inch YKK zippers, some high quality marine grade UV resistant thread, scissors, seam rippers, and some basting tape. This will be really helpful to tape down the zipper before I sew it to make sure that it lines up perfectly.
Step 4, build the canvas backing.
So when you decide to build a canvas backing, here are the steps to do that. You first have to take a measurement of the panel and decide how much border you want showing for your canvas. For us, we kept it very narrow, only a 1/2 inch on the leading and back ends and flush up against the sides. All right, so the first step is completed. I have sewn the hems of all 4 sides. We just went up on deck and did a quick test fit, and I think it fits great. And then you're gonna attach your zippers to the leading and the aft edge of the canvas backing. So we now have a solar panel sized piece of canvas. It has a zipper on each side to connect the long way to the bimini frame. And we are going to start the process of adhering the solar panel onto the canvas.
Step 5, adhere the solar panel to the canvas backing.
The way we chose to go about this process was first to flip the solar panel upside down, and then we applied it in a way that you would apply wallpaper, which is very slowly and incrementally. So we removed a little bit of the backing strips at a time and slowly rolled the canvas on top of the adhesive, making sure that we were applying firm pressure along the way.
Step 6, allow the adhesive to cure. 3M VHB tape requires 72 hours to cure at room temperature or higher. Step 7, after 72 hours cure time, check the adhesive bond, and if there's any issues in any spots, apply heat and allow to cure again. We noticed that there was a little bit of looseness along a few spots of the edge of the panel where it was supposed to be bonded to the canvas. I got on the phone with Xantrex's engineering team, and after discussing our installation process, what we'd done, what the conditions were like, it was pretty clear that because we had installed the panel in St. Augustine, where it was only in the mid-50s and quite damp outside, that had almost certainly led to not getting a strong bond between the adhesive and the fibers in the canvas. But the nice part was the engineering team was also very confident that if we just applied some heat, either with a hairdryer or a heat gun on a low setting, that we would be able to re-soften the adhesive. You could just warm it up and apply pressure along the problematic areas and then allow it to cure again. So that's what we did. And we've had no problems with it since then. Step 8, test fit the solar panel on your bimini and tape the zippers in place. All right, we have finished heating and re-rolling the perimeter. It feels well bonded now, so we're ready to pick up the panel, move it over to the bimini, test fit it, find our location, and then we will sew on the zippers and the corner pockets onto the bimini, and we can attach it permanently. 182, so 91.
When we installed the zipper previously, I had added some, it's basically double-sided tape to the non-attached side of the zipper. The idea being that we can just adhere this zipper straight to the bimini top on both sides, and then sew it down pretty easily. We'll make marks for where we want the diagonal corners to go, get that all fitted. Then we'll take the canvas off the bimini frame and we'll go below. We'll sew the zippers down and sew the corner points, and then we can zip it all in and hopefully it should fit nice and tight.
With the zippers taped in place, we removed the bimini one last time and cat sewed the zippers in place, and also installed corner patches and a weather strip along the forward edge to protect it from driving winds and rain. Now we were ready for the final installation and to connect the panel to the electrical system. Step 9. Finish the installation of the solar panel on the bimini and prepare to wire the panel into your electrical system. Okay. Alright, got it hooked up. Now I'm just going to tuck these cables up inside of the bimini, get them out of the way and out of the elements. Step 10. Run your wiring and mount your solar controller. So we've got a Xantrex 30 amp MPPT charger. It's got an LCD panel that should make programming it for our battery type sealed AGMs, pretty straightforward, and it'll give us real-time monitoring capabilities. Okay, we've got just enough room in our utility cabinet for the controller to fit. We'll have our breakers from the house batteries and the solar panels mounted up here. Okay, so it only took about an hour. I was able to get the solar controller and a pair of breakers installed. So I've got one breaker here from the solar panel to the controller, and another breaker that goes from the solar controller to the house battery. And it just allows me to open the circuits on either side of the controller if I need to service it or disconnect the panel. Final step, turn it on. All right, moment of truth. I'm gonna close these two breakers, connecting the panel to the controller and the controller to the house batteries. We'll see what happens. Controller's firing up. Wattage is coming up. All right, so with this panel up and running, we have nearly doubled our boat's capacity. We'll check back in a month or two and see how everything's going. In the 2 months since we first installed the panel, we've covered more than 1,000 miles from St. Augustine down to Puerto Rico and the Spanish Virgin Islands, where we're sitting right now. Over that time, we've had a chance to monitor the performance, and we're really happy with how it's been going so far. We're regularly seeing output at 330 watts, or sometimes even slightly better. So it's working as advertised. It seems to be quite tolerant to minor shading like we get when there's a bit of rigging or something that casts a narrow shadow over the panel. So that's excellent for our use case on a sailboat. From a power output standpoint, it's doing exactly what it was supposed to do. We've also been carefully monitoring the performance of the adhesive on the back side of the panel, and we're also really happy with that. There's been no sign of any detachment at any point along the panel. It's holding very firmly onto the canvas backing, and we've experienced winds up to about 40 knots in squalls, and routinely seeing the 20 plus knots that we get here in the trade winds, and no issue whatsoever. We can strongly recommend using these panels at this point. So if you have any questions about either the panel, the performance, our installation process, feel free to leave a comment, reach out via email, or just reach out to Xantrex directly. We've had really good experience talking with their engineering team. I think they'll have great advice for you if you have an installation use case that's a little bit different than ours.